of being crazy or paranoid to keep them off your trail of lies. So it's already bad enough if somebody is lying to you, if your partner is lying to you, or if you're lying to your partner. Definitely lying is not going to contribute to the success of your relationship. But when you start gaslighting, it's a triple threat. Okay, and so the article went on to say that it's a triple threat when you withhold information, then you lie about what you're withholding, then you gaslight your partner and make them think that it's them. So, sometimes when you do that, that's doing damage to the relationship that's irreparable. So, lying, gaslighting, if this is you, if this sounds like you, if you do it, if you just did it today, that's not a good look. So if you're a Debbie Downer, nobody likes to be around Debbie Downers or Donald Downers. People who are insecure tend to sabotage a perfectly healthy relationship by overanalyzing everything. You can't overanalyze stuff. You can't read more into things than what they are. So studies suggest that individuals with low self-esteem may be more likely to expect rejection from their partner and avoid behaviors that risk rejection, like telling their partner how they truly feel, than individuals with high self-esteem. So if you have low self-esteem, or if you're not someone who holds yourself to a high regard, then you're probably kind of bouncing that behavior back. So it maybe you're not fit right now to be in a relationship. So it may be best to take a break from the relationship to work on yourself, unless you have a partner who is just phenomenal, who's willing to help you work through your self-doubts. So, and that's another thing we were just talking about, being around people who are negative. And that's a key thing in changing. The key is to surround yourself with positive people who care for you and who value you. You want to spend your time with friends and family and not new relationships and just jumping from one relationship to the other. So another way to know if you are the toxic one in the relationship, you're always threatening to break up. That is craziness. Every time you turn around, don't nobody want to hear, oh, you don't like what I did? Oh, well, I'm going to break up with you. I don't like what you did. I'm breaking up with you. That's crazy. No one wants to go through that. Nobody likes to waste their time and their energy arguing, and getting threatened every time you don't like what somebody did. So usually what happens is that people use threats as a way to get their partner in line. But that's not okay. People should never threaten the relationship unless they intend to get out. It's like you keep on throwing these idle threats, and that just makes the other person feel insecure. That's not okay. It's not all right first of all, it's wrong to threaten people, and it's wrong to make people feel insecure. Because when we get in relationships, security is one of the main factors of why. Because we can just be by ourselves and not be insecure. So, when you threaten somebody, it's only valid if you mean it and if you do it. Otherwise, it's just damaging the safety and the security of the relationship. So instead of making threats, idle threats, or saying something that you regret, you should walk away, get yourself together, get your life, and cool down and think rationally before you start spouting off crazy thoughts that you might later regret. But this is a big one, people. If you are listening and this sounds like you and you're always threatening to break up, that's toxic. You can't do that to people and think that this is a healthy relationship or we're going to be together the next 30 years. If you've been together for 2 years or 5 years and you're still threatening to break up, you can't expect that you can threaten someone for 25 more years. It's not going to happen. That's toxic. So think about it. Is this happening to you, or are you the one that's doing it? If you're hot-headed, all know people who are angry, have anger. There's people who are known for their hot tempers. And if it doesn't take much to get your blood boiling, then you may be that toxic one. And people are scared to move and jump around you because one wrong move and you suddenly snap and you blurt out nasty remarks. And a lot of times you don't mean them, but your anger gets the best of you. So that's not cool. And nobody wants to be around people who continuously have these cycles of anger and remorse and shame. And it's just not a good look. And you have to reevaluate that. And you have to look at yourself and you have to honestly say, what's going on with me? Why am I getting angry so much? What's the root of this? And what can you do when you get angry? I always tell people to walk away. And that's like an age-old way to deal with anger, but it's something that really works. If you're a hot-headed person and you get angry a lot, then it's a good thing to walk away. And I know some people really get angry if you walk out of their face, but it's better for you to walk away than to do or say something that you don't mean. So that is still just a great tip if you're angry and you're hot-headed, to just go ahead and walk away. And another thing that really works, and these are like age-old suggestions, but they really work. Utilize them. If you're a person who's getting angry, take some deep breaths. They usually say to take 3 deep breaths. And I did get some tips for you to post on my Twitter. And so an article is there too on how you can control your anger. So go, and if you're this angry person, go and check out that article and find out how you can control your anger. And I'll also post some things on there of maybe some classes or a hotline or something you can call. Because it's not a game. When people are angry, that can lead to other things. And sometimes it can really get you in trouble and into some heavy heat. So, but the deep breaths, walking away, but when you're angry, your body gets really tense. And so if you're breathing deeply, that helps lower your internal anger meter. So really try to take some deep breaths. And it sometimes start with 3. It may take you a little more. And also you might want to consider therapy and getting to what I was saying to you earlier, discovering the root of your anger. Why is it that you're so angry? Why do you lash out? Why are you, blurting out at people and saying rude and mean things? Because if you can know the source, if you know the reason for your anger, then you can know better on how to control it. And you can also better know on how to address it and avoiding it altogether, or actually lessening how often you have these episodes. Another thing is writing a letter. And we talked about this months ago on this show, for another reason. Like if you, I can't remember why I was telling people to talk, to write letters, and it's a good tip for when you're angry, but we were talking about it before. I think we were talking about journaling, but writing letters and writing things down, has a great place for many reasons. And so if you get angry at somebody before you call them or before you email them or you go to them, write it in a letter, and you don't have to send the letter. It's just that the act of writing will lighten the load of your anger that you've been carrying, and will help you to, when you actually do go to address it, will actually help you to maybe not be as disheartening and mean or nasty as you would have been, because it allows you to take the load off a little. So those are some tips that can help you to control your anger. And again, I have a full article on my Twitter page. You can go on there and you can see way more tips on controlling your anger. And the next thing that may give you an indication that you're the toxic one in the relationship is that you never fix problems. You neglect to nip problems in the bud. You just let things go on and on. You let things fester and blow up in your face. And when you're doing that and you're in a relationship, your partner can grow to resent you. So you have to be someone who addresses things. You have to apologize. You have to admit that you're wrong when you're wrong. You have to make things right. You cannot be a person who just lets things grow and grow and grow, because your partner will accrue a host of negative memories related to being unfair and unjust. So you have to learn to address things. You have to learn to fix the problems that exist and to communicate. It's the whole thing. This tip reminds me of, like a bill collector or something. When I was going over this article a little earlier, this tip reminded me of a bill collector, because it's like, well, if you're behind on your bills, then maybe a bill collector starts calling you and you're thinking that, well, I'll just hit the ignore button and I won't answer their calls and I won't respond to them. But when you do that, that doesn't take away the fact that you still owe that bill, or that bill is still growing interest, or that you're still accruing late fees. I used to work for Capital One, the credit card company, and people, they don't respond. They hit the reject button, and that, just because they don't talk to us and they're not talking to us, that doesn't mean that they still don't owe the money to us and that they're not getting fees. It's actually getting worse. Whereas if you actually decide to talk to someone and talk to us, we may, I used to work in the, I've done so many things in my life. I used to work in the department that was called CAG, and it stood for Customer Assessment Group. And, what we would do is, if people said that they couldn't afford their bill, or this happened or that happened, we would offer them internal solutions to maybe give them some more time, maybe to waive a fee, maybe to, whatever. I mean, we had so many internal solutions that we could try to help people. But we could not offer those solutions if people didn't talk to us and their bill just kept growing and growing. So that's what this tip is like. You have to address the problems. You have to communicate. You have to talk to your partner. You have to talk to people who you're in relationships with. If you just let things fester and blow up, it will be just actually crazy. And it can actually destroy that whole relationship altogether, and even friendships. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with some other amazing tips on how to identify if you're in a toxic relationship, or if you are actually that toxic person. We'll be right back after this.
Make sure that you look good. Make sure that I smell good. Let's purchase 2 new Bentleys. I know that it looks trendy. So glad that it's not windy. Here comes that girl named Donnie. Ask if she wants to go. Tonight's gonna be hot for sure. Big dancing on the floor. Folks stripping, I don't know. Money flying everywhere. Champagne, we won't go there. Bottles popping in the air. They'll be screaming, I don't care.